Pratap, if I can get you in at this point, there are so many layers to this, but there's another part, and that is the part of a living will. Now, even while you're alive, you can really make a will that is legally tenable, that is allowed by law. What advice would you give to the elderly? How should they proceed this? Because many people would say that, they've given it away to their children, but their children are not taking care of it. This is something that we hear so often, and not necessarily because children don't want to take care of them, but it's also in a country where almost 40% of youngsters, particularly at a particular age, say after 25, between 25 and 30, most of them are leaving for abroad, are going and working abroad. So distance plays a big role in being able to reach back home whenever they are required, so on and so forth. There are lots of angles to this. But what would be your advice to the elderly who are watching you at this point?
Well, my advice first and foremost to senior citizens would be that don't give away your property while you are alive. As simple as that. People will talk about living will. They will talk about so many things. I believe in, and of course it is recognized, but I believe in tried and tested legal instruments like a normal will. For instance, okay, you drop a normal will. What you can do is you very early while you're alive, you drop your will. Affirm it. Properly get the certificate of. Do all the legal formalities. Define who will get what. Make the division of property very clear about what will happen after your demise, and then circulate the will to all the concerned beneficiaries and legatees, and at the same time get it registered, even though registration of a will is optional. In my opinion, so far as you are alive, you maintain your control over your respective and properties and assets. If a child comes and asks you for some money, give it. If the child requests to stay in your house, let him stay in your house. I'm not saying leave children to their fate. Today's world is expensive. Today's world is competitive. Today's children need some parental support. So parents should provide in the case of food, housing, shelter.
I think in today's India, I'm not talking about, the West or anything, but in today's India, you still would not have parents who would leave children to their own. If required, they always would be there. The question is how many really get the support from their own children.
See, the point is simple. That obviously we are unfortunately becoming a value deficient society. But as far as parents are concerned, first and foremost is that if your children are with you, at least don't give them everything on a platter. Give them food, shelter, a basic sustenance, right. Fine. But do not give them a largesse. Do not execute gift deeds and hand them over possession of property. Otherwise, even to get it back, you will have to go to Senior Citizens Tribunal. Rather, write a will, circulate it to all your legal heirs. And because remember, when a will is properly registered, etc., then the scope for challenge becomes very narrow. The scope for challenge becomes very narrow. Even after the senior citizen passes away, the concerned legatees can approach the concern, because all those people with a cavatable interest, whatever, the legatees, they can approach the concerned civil court or the original court, and they can get the will probated.
Right. So okay, last question to you is... right, I get it.
Yes.
Right. Ms. Swayamprabha Saraswati, my last question to you. Do you see instances where, in your experience, have you come across couples where they possibly have had decent careers themselves, they've brought families together, they've earned themselves well, they have given off their property to their children, handed over their property and their future, their assets to their children, and they've been quite left to themselves. Have you come across cases like this increasingly?
Yes, sure. When I'm attached to this NGO and Little Seeds, and I'm attached to these people, and I usually visit to Vridhashram as well. So these instances are very common because parents are selfless and they are going to give everything to their children, and they want that till they are alive they can give as much as they can deliver to their children. But at last they are end up begging outside the Vridhashram. That scene that's a very common things which I can tell you is happening. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Aditya Pratap, and thank you very much, Swayamprabha Saraswati, for joining us with these perspectives. Very unsettling conversations, but important conversations to have. Thank you very much.